And welcome back to another episode of Pimp My Mint, where we're gonna pimp a little bit the terminal text editor, specifically Nano. If you're interested in editing text in the terminal and you didn't try much before, this is exactly where you need to be. This is the desktop as we left it the last time. I only applied some updates. With Super T, we opened the terminal. We see that I forgot to take out the menu bar permanently. So Control D, close it, Super T, open. Now without the menu bar, perfect. Alt F7 and Shift right down, enter, and we're in the corner. Exactly as we learned before and everything. Cool. And I'm first gonna explain a little bit about being interested in editing text in the terminal, right? Like, why would you even do that, right? If you have a perfectly working text editor, we already made this nicer, right? We already did all the changes to Xadd, right? Why would you not use this always? Also, let me show you one nice tip. If you wanna open some file in Z or in any graphical user interface, right, from the terminal, a nice trick how to do that, thanks to Fish that we installed last time, is to just use open, or as I aliased it to just O. I just write O space, and now I can write any file, right? So if I'm like in documents, I list them, I have a file here prepared for later, I can just O and then tab and RC, bang, and it opens in a graphical user interface just as it would normally do, you know? So you can do this for anything. You don't have to specifically write, although you could also do that, you know? But you know, there's a small lag, and sometimes you simply just want to stay inside of the terminal for editing text. And as Nano looks right now, it's not perfect, you know? Like, for example, it wraps lines like this, you know? Like it doesn't wrap lines at all. There are no line numbers, the shortcuts are a little weird, so we're gonna fix all that. But first, I wanted to show you the thought process behind this. So as one gains more experience with a terminal, right, we could call this and let's say terminal usage. Let's call it terminal usage, but in my idea it's like for user-facing applications, right? Either way, so let me explain my thought process. When you start using Linux and you don't know much about the terminal, you know, you're maybe still a little bit afraid of it or whatever, like you don't use it in the beginning much, then you use it a little bit for just installing things, right? Or some small configurations, and slowly you start realizing, wow, even the text editors are quite nice. Let me try to use some more things, like I don't know, you can start movies in it, right? You can listen to music in the terminal. You can manage your emails in the terminal. You can freaking do so many crazy file management, right? That's a common thing, file managing, and so many things you do in the terminal. You add and add user-facing applications. You get to a point where you use it for almost everything. You stay there for a while, and then after a while you kind of have to acknowledge to yourself, this is a little bit overkill. Like, I'm not really that much more efficient than before. You know, with certain tools, you have to use them for a while in order to realize if being good with them made you more productive than before learning the tool, right? There are also tools where even though you become relatively good with them, you realize you're not that much more productive than before. And those two types are exactly the two types of applications that I want to talk about, because terminal text editors fall into the former, where you can be actually very productive with them, and other applications like the ones I mentioned, basically almost everything else I mentioned, are the other category. File management, I can recommend you to try. Usually people recommend Ranger. A better version of Ranger is LF, list files. Highly recommend that. Is better in every aspect to Ranger, and it has the same concept. Try LF. Another thing is Midnight Commander, also absolutely amazing. I loved both, but after a while I had to admit to myself that it's simply not as useful as a normal graphical file manager. You know, my favorite one on Linux is Double Commander. The default one on Linux Mint, it's not bad at all. You know, it also has double panes and everything, but Double Commander, it's just amazing. I use it for many years already. It's amazing. I could make some improvements to this default look, but that's maybe for another day. Everybody has their own file management preferences, is okay. You know, I'm just saying that I tried to use it in a terminal, and it's, I guess, the number one reason that I'm missing there is drag and drop, and but many other things, right? You have Alt Enter, basic right click, and other things, and you have so many other applications like that, where you slowly cut them away from your life. You know, you go back to normal applications more and more, but you keep the ones that work, and then you find yourself in this spot where you stopped using those weird applications, right? You shouldn't browse the internet in a terminal, even though you can try. And there are things like Auszug, what's this German sounding name that actually made it possible to view pictures in the terminal. You know, like, there are people who really try to make that work, but just come clean and use the thing that gets the job done, you know. But here you still end up with terminal text editors, and after using them for a while, you get specialized in it more and more, and you use it more and more, and then I feel like I'm somewhere there, you know. And I wanna explain to you this whole thing, where if you wanna start with it, I'm gonna talk to people that are right here, right now, and show them how to make Nano a little bit better, because Nano, it's actually quite good, very similar to how you used to edit text before, and it's pre-installed. The only thing that I'm gonna show here is how to configure it to make it more useful. And in a later video, I'm gonna show you how to configure Helix. Helix is something like NeoVim, but with better defaults and simply newer, and it fits my IT philosophy a little bit better, where you can have the power and usefulness that you desire without needing to use those a little bit old-fashioned in clunky, unnecessarily complicated tools. You know, we're on Linux Mint, we're not on Gentoo. We can build great things like Helix, and we don't necessarily need to become Lua masters in order to configure Vim, NeoVim, and things like that, right? But for now, let's focus on this. And also to skip this part, although it's a little bit fun to be around here. You know, you can try to do your anything in the terminal, but it's not as useful, you know, in the long run. Just be honest to yourself. You know, life is about balance. It's like using no terminal at all is like being proud of knowing Taylor Swift lyrics and trying to use the terminal all the time is like I don't know, being crazy with remembering super complicated chess sequences or something, right? Like, life is about balance and just being honest to yourself, and I think that's the way forward in how to be happy and productive in your life. So enough with the philosophy talk, let's go directly to it. So I already showed you how Nano looks by default, right? In order to make it better, we go to this file, etc nano rc, and here we can find all the things that we can add in our home config file that will make it a little bit better. I recommend you to go through the whole file by yourself. It's not that long. It's a little bit long, but it's not crazy. If you want to make it faster, I'm just going to show you my file that just picked the best out of it. And, or at least that's how I have it, you know, and that's in here. So you don't have this file in the home folder yet. So you literally just create new document, you call it .nanorc, and then you open it. It's here right now, right, in your home folder, and yep, and this is how it can look like, right? I already made a note for myself where it's taken from, and I'm gonna explain a few of those things. Although, like, all of the commands are explained above in the comment, right? At blanks is so that make it wrap lines at blanks. It's so it means when you have soft wrap enabled, instead of wrapping at the edge, that means it would like break a word apart, it will keep the words together. So this makes it wrap words, wrap lines, and this makes it wrap including the whole word, you know. Smart home, this is amazing. I'm also noticing that clicking doesn't work, so great opportunity to like find out, right? So if I want a clicking to work, let's go to Nano, the one that I set. I'm gonna Control F because, you know, it's where it's written here. This means Control and F. Where is? I write yep, and I just copy this. With Shift click, we would select the word. Doing it with Shift, we're now basically working with the terminal itself, and then either Shift right click, or we could Shift Control Shift C, that would copy it. With Shift click, I deselect it, and then we just add it here. So after saving it and reopening Nano, we could already click. Great. So close, close, close. Close this as well. Reopen it. Okay, so that was the mouse support. This was just a quick example how to add other commands, right? Soft wrapping, smart home. As I wanted to say, it's when you click home, it smartly jumps to the beginning where the line starts to have a text, right? Line numbers obviously very useful to show how large the file is. Tab size to tell it how far to jump when clicking tab. Tabs to spaces, I absolutely prefer to have the tab composed from spaces and not from like some other weird tab character, right? Auto indent means after enter it auto indents. Who would have thought? Also again great. And colors, I used the same as in for example, if I Alt H now, it gives me this man page, right? So I used green and yellow here before as shown in previous episodes. And so I used similar colors here, but previously you can choose whatever you want. And with the brackets, it didn't really work for me, no idea why. And then I just copied the whole thing of the new shortcuts and I uncommented just the ones that I felt are very useful. The Alt S, for some reason I didn't need to. If I make a change here somewhere, I Alt S, it still writes the lines, so I'm not totally sure why it writes them, even though this is not uncommented. Anyway, the help also works. You can Control H and you can easily get into the help page. With Control F you can search here for things, right, or whatever. Q go out. So you can go through these and you can take out whatever you want. For example, Control K, I remember I felt useful with Alt K. You can toggle between if the cutting should go until the end of the line or the whole line. So Control K would here cut until the end of the line. Control Z to go back, toggle back, and now Control K would cut the whole line, just like Alt X. Control Z to go back, and this is basically all. This is the end of the file. So I hope this was useful to you, and in a future video I might have a look at Helix, because Helix is just so amazing. Before I ended the video, I also noticed that mouse scrolling doesn't change the active window here, which is very useful, I think. So in the spirit of pimping the mint, I'm gonna enable that here and take out the title of above the thumbnail and make it a little bit bigger. I think this is better now. Yeah. Yep. Hope this was useful and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.